The Westfield Century City Mall hummed with the usual Friday afternoon energy. Teenagers clustering around the Apple Store. Young mothers pushing strollers past Nordstrom. The smell of cinnamon rolls from Cinnabon mixing with expensive perfume from the cosmetics counters. Karen Ross walked slowly, a shopping bag from Macy's dangling from her wrist. She'd bought new curtains for the guest room. Blue ones. Something to keep her busy now that retirement stretched endlessly before her. She was heading toward the parking structure when she saw her. At first, Karen thought she was mistaken. The woman sitting alone at a corner table in the food court, hunched over a small pile of coins, couldn't possibly be her daughter. Paula wore designer jeans and drove a brand-new Toyota Highlander. Paula was a nurse supervisor at St. Vincent Medical Center, made good money, had a beautiful home on Maple Street with the white picket fence and the oak tree out front. But the closer Karen got, the more the details came into focus. The faded grocery store uniform, Ralph's, the name tag barely clinging to the worn fabric. The sneakers with holes near the toes, knockoff Nikes that had seen better days. The way Paula's shoulders curved inward, like she was trying to make herself smaller, invisible. And those hands, Karen would know those hands anywhere. Carefully counting quarters and dimes and nickels on the sticky food court table. "Paula?" Her daughter's head snapped up. For a fraction of a second, Karen saw something flash across Paula's face. Not happiness at seeing her mother, but fear. Raw, animal fear. Then it was gone, replaced by a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Mom," Paula quickly swept the coins into her palm. "What are you doing here?" "Shopping." Karen set her bag down and slid into the seat across from her daughter. "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at work?" "Day off." Paula wouldn't meet her eyes. "Just running errands." Karen looked at the coins now clutched in Paula's fist. "Were you counting money for something?" "Just coffee." Paula gestured vaguely toward the Starbucks 20 feet away. "Wanted to see if I had enough." A small coffee at Starbucks cost $3.50. Karen had watched her daughter count at least $4 in change. "Where's your car?" Karen asked, keeping her voice light. "I didn't see the Highlander in the parking lot." Paula's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "Trevor needed it. His truck broke down last month, so he's using mine for work interviews." "For a month?" "The truck's really broken. Transmission or something." Paula's fingers twisted the hem of her uniform. "It's fine. I don't mind taking the bus." Karen looked at her daughter. Really looked. The Ralph's uniform hung loose on Paula's frame, at least one size too big now. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, the kind that came from weeks of poor sleep, not just one bad night. Her hair, usually glossy and well-maintained, was pulled back in a hasty ponytail, the ends dry and split. "Have you eaten lunch?" Karen asked. "I'm not really hungry." "Paula Marie Ross, when's the last time you had a real meal?" The use of her full name made Paula flinch. She looked down at her hands. This morning, I had toast." "Toast." Karen stood up. "Stay right there." She walked to the Chinese place and ordered way too much food. Orange chicken, chow mein, spring rolls, fried rice. When she returned with the loaded tray, Paula was staring at her phone, her thumb hovering over the screen like she wanted to respond to a message, but was afraid to. "Who's texting you?" Karen set the food down. "No one, just Trevor checking in." Paula set the phone face down on the table. "He likes to know where I am." That was new. Trevor had never been the checking in type. If anything, Paula used to complain that her husband was too disconnected, always on his phone scrolling through sports news instead of talking to her. "Eat," Karen said, pushing a container toward her daughter. Paula picked up the chopsticks and took a bite of orange chicken. Then another. Then she was eating like someone who hadn't seen food in days. Quick, mechanical, barely chewing. Karen watched her daughter consume half the container in less than 3 minutes. "Where's Lily?" Karen asked, naming her 4-year-old granddaughter. "It's Friday. Isn't this usually your day with her?" Paula stopped mid-bite. "She's with her grandmother. They're at the park." "I'm her grandmother." "Trevor's mom, Barbara." Paula set down the chopsticks. "She's been helping out a lot. With Lily." Something cold settled in Karen's stomach. Barbara Ross, the woman who'd insisted on a wedding planner who cost $12,000. The woman who'd criticized every parenting decision Paula made. The woman who'd once said at a family dinner Karen would never forget, "Some women are just naturally better mothers than others." "That's nice of her," Karen said carefully. "Yeah." Paula picked up her phone again, glanced at it, set it down. "She's been great. Really great." They sat in silence for a moment. Around them, the food court buzzed with life. Families laughing, teenagers arguing about which movie to see, the clatter of trays and the hiss of soda machines. Normal Friday afternoon sounds. But nothing about this was normal. "Mom, I need to go." Paula stood abruptly. "I have to catch the 3:15 bus. I can drive you home." "No!" The word came out sharp, almost panicked. Paula softened her tone. "No, thank you. The bus is fine. I'm used to it now." "Paula, I really need to go. Thanks for lunch." She grabbed her purse, a cheap canvas tote, not the leather coach bag Karen had given her last Christmas, and hurried away, weaving between tables. Karen sat there for a long moment, staring at the half-eaten containers of Chinese food. Then she grabbed her shopping bag and followed her daughter at a distance. She watched Paula exit through the main doors, cross the parking lot, and wait at the bus stop on Santa Monica Boulevard. The 720 pulled up 7 minutes later. Paula climbed on, showed her pass, and disappeared into the crowd of passengers. Karen got in her Mercedes and followed the bus. She expected it to head toward Maple Street, the charming neighborhood where Paula and Trevor had bought their house 3 years ago. Instead, the bus turned east, toward the older parts of Los Angeles. The buildings got shorter, the streets narrower. The bus stopped 6 times. Paula got off at the 7th stop in a neighborhood Karen didn't recognize. Her daughter walked 3 blocks, her shoulders hunched against the late afternoon sun, and turned into the driveway of a large Spanish-style house with terracotta tiles and an iron fence. A newer house, well-maintained. Expensive, even. Paula didn't go to the front door. She walked around the side of the house, through a gate, and disappeared. Karen parked down the street and pulled out her phone. A quick Google search of the address told her everything she needed to know. Owner, Barbara Ross. Purchased 2018. Estimated value, $890,000. Karen sat in her car until the sun started to set, her hands gripping the steering wheel, her mind racing. Finally, she drove home, went straight to her office, and opened her laptop. She searched the county property records for Paula's house on Maple Street. The listing appeared on her screen. Her daughter wasn't living in her own house. Karen stared at the screen until her eyes burned. Then she picked up her phone and scrolled through her contacts until she found the name she needed. Sarah Mitchell, her former paralegal, the woman who'd worked by her side for 15 years, who knew every trick in the real estate law book, who'd once told Karen, "If you ever need anything, day or night, you call me." Karen pressed dial. "Sarah," she said when her friend answered, "I need a favor, a big one." Sarah Mitchell met Karen at a coffee shop in Beverly Hills on Monday morning. She arrived with a worn leather messenger bag and the same sharp expression she'd always had, the look of someone who could spot a forged signature from 20 feet away. "Tell me everything," Sarah said, setting down her latte. Karen told her. The food court, the coins, the bus route, the house that Paula didn't enter, the rental listing for Maple Street. Sarah listened without interrupting, her fingers drumming a steady rhythm on the table. When Karen finished, Sarah pulled out a legal pad and began making notes. "First things first," Sarah said. "I need to see the property records for Maple Street. Full history, deed transfers, mortgage information, everything." "I already looked. Both names are on the title, Paula Ross and Trevor Ross." "Good. That means he can't legally sell it without her signature." Sarah made a note. "What about the rental listing? Who posted it?" "I don't know." "We'll find out." Sarah looked up. "Karen, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Are you sure Paula's in trouble? Is there any chance she chose this? Some people do separate for a while." "She was counting coins to buy a $3 coffee, Sarah. She's lost at least 20 pounds. She's taking the bus while her husband drives her $45,000 car." Karen's voice cracked. My daughter is not okay. Sarah reached across the table and squeezed Karen's hand. Then we figure out what's happening, and we fix it. By Tuesday afternoon, Sarah had pulled the full property history for Maple Street. She spread the papers across Karen's dining room table, pointing at specific sections with a red pen. Here's what I found. The house was purchased 3 years ago, joint tenancy. Both names on the title, both on the mortgage. Sarah flipped to another page. The mortgage was paid off 18 months ago. Looks like someone made a lump sum payment of $87,000. That was me, Karen said quietly. Wedding gift. I didn't want them starting their marriage with debt. Generous, Sarah made a note. So the house is fully owned, no bank involvement. That makes things easier and harder. How so? Easier because there's no lender to complicate things if we need to challenge the rental situation. Harder because... Sarah pointed at a document near the bottom of the pile. This, filed 6 weeks ago, quitclaim deed. Paula Ross transfers her interest in the property to Trevor Ross, sole ownership. Karen felt the room tilt. What? According to this, Paula signed over her half of the house to Trevor, voluntarily. She wouldn't do that. The signature's notarized. Sarah slid the document across the table. See? Notary public stamp. Date. Witness signature. Karen stared at her daughter's signature at the bottom of the page. It looked like Paula's handwriting, the distinctive way she made her capital R, the slight leftward slant. But something about it felt wrong. The pressure of the pen, the spacing. Can we challenge this? Maybe, if we can prove she signed under duress, or if the signature's forged. Sarah tapped the document. But notarized documents are tough to challenge. The notary is supposed to verify identity and willing consent. So what do? We talked to Paula. Wednesday afternoon, Karen found her daughter at St. Vincent Medical Center. She'd called the main desk, asked if Paula Ross was working today, and was told yes, second-floor nurses station. Karen took the elevator up and waited near the double doors until Paula appeared, carrying a patient chart. Mom? Paula looked around nervously. What are you doing here? We need to talk, please. I'm working. It's important. Something in Karen's voice must have registered because Paula glanced at her watch, then nodded. I have 15 minutes. There's a cafe downstairs. They sat in a corner booth. Paula ordered nothing. Karen ordered 2 coffees anyway. Sweetie, Karen began carefully, where do you actually live? Paula's hands wrapped around the coffee cup that had just arrived. What do you mean? I saw the rental listing for Maple Street. I followed you last Friday. I know you went to Barbara's house. Karen reached across the table. Paula, please, talk to me. Her daughter's face crumpled. For a moment, Karen thought she would cry. Instead, Paula laughed, a short, bitter sound that held no humor at all. I live in Barbara's garage, she said flatly. I've been there for 6 months. The words hung in the air between them. The garage, Karen repeated. Yeah. Paula stared into her coffee. Trevor lost his job 8 months ago. Not 6 months like I said. 8. I lied. I've been lying about a lot of things, Mom. What happened? Paula told her. Slowly at first, then faster, the words tumbling out like she'd been holding them back for too long. Trevor had come home one Tuesday evening and announced he'd quit his job. Not fired. Quit. Said he was tired of being undervalued, that he needed to find himself, that his mother had offered to help them financially while he figured things out. Barbara said we should move in temporarily, just until Trevor found new work. Paula's voice was hollow. She said she had plenty of space, that we could save money, pay off debt. It made sense, or at least I thought it did. The first week had been fine. They'd stayed in the guest room, Paula, Trevor, and Lily. Barbara had been welcoming, made their favorite meals, took Lily to the park. The second week, Barbara had mentioned that the garage needed to be cleaned out. Would Paula mind organizing it? Just for a few days, then they'd set up a proper guest suite. 2 weeks became a month. The guest suite never materialized. Barbara kept finding reasons why it wasn't ready yet. The contractor was delayed. The furniture hadn't arrived. Maybe next week. Then came the paperwork. Trevor said we should consolidate our finances, make everything simpler while we were getting back on our feet. Paula made air quotes with her fingers. He had me sign papers, lots of papers, said it was for a joint account, for streamlining our bills, for tax purposes. I trusted him. I didn't read them carefully. Karen felt sick. What did you sign? I don't know. Not all of it. Paula's hands trembled. A power of attorney for medical decisions. At least that's what Trevor said it was. Some banking documents, and she paused. A quitclaim deed for the house. He said it was to protect the property, in case I got sued at work or something, that having it in one name would shield our assets. Paula, I know how stupid that sounds now. Tears finally came sliding down Paula's cheeks. But I loved him. I trusted him. And his mother kept saying she just wanted to help, that this was what family did for each other. By the third month, Paula's paychecks had stopped going into their joint checking account. When she asked Trevor about it, he'd said he'd opened a new account, a better one with higher interest rates. He'd handle the bills. She shouldn't worry. Her credit card stopped working. Trevor said he'd canceled them because they had too much debt. He'd pay everything off first, then they'd get new cards. The garage became permanent. Barbara said it was temporary, just until Paula proved she could handle her responsibilities better. What responsibilities? Paula didn't know. She was working 60-hour weeks at the hospital, picking up every extra shift she could. And Lily. They won't let me see her, Paula whispered. Not really. Barbara says I work too much, that I need to prioritize family. So she keeps Lily upstairs. I get 15 minutes at bedtime. That's it. Sometimes Barbara finds a reason why I can't even have that. Says Lily's already asleep, or she's being punished for misbehavior, or I'm too tired and might upset her. Karen listened to her daughter describe her life, a life that had become a cage built from legal documents and manipulation and slow, systematic isolation. I went to the police, Paula said. 3 weeks ago. I told them everything. What did they say? Detective Webb said it was a civil matter. That because Trevor is my husband, and I'd signed the banking documents, there wasn't much they could do unless I could prove coercion. He told me to get a lawyer. Paula's laugh was bitter. With what money, Mom? Barbara gives me $20 a week for expenses. That's it. My paycheck goes into an account I can't access. If I save any of the $20, Barbara finds it. She goes through my things. She found $40 I'd hidden in my locker at work last month. Said I was stealing from the family and didn't let me see Lily for 3 days. Karen felt rage building in her chest, white-hot and consuming. Why didn't you call me? Because I was ashamed? Paula's voice broke. Because you raised me better than this. Because you always taught me to be strong and independent, and look at me. I let them do this. I signed the papers. I moved into the garage. I let my daughter call another woman Mama because I was too scared to fight back. Scared of what? Paula looked at her mother with eyes full of desperation. Barbara said she'd take Lily. She said she'd prove I was an unfit mother, that she'd show the courts how I work all the time, how I don't have stable housing, how I chose to live in a garage instead of in the house with my family. She said she has a lawyer ready, that she's already been documenting everything. She was a social worker, Mom, before she retired. She knows exactly how the system works. She knows what judges look for, and she's been building a case against me for months. Karen sat back in her chair, her mind racing through everything she knew about family law, custody battles, parental rights. Barbara Ross was smart, calculating. She'd created a situation where Paula appeared to be making bad choices while Barbara looked like the devoted grandmother stepping in to help. Paula, Karen said slowly, I need you to do something for me. Can you go back there today and act normal? Don't tell Trevor or Barbara about this conversation. Why? Because I'm going to fix this. Mom, you can't. Yes, I can. Karen reached across the table and gripped her daughter's hands. I was a real estate attorney for 33 years. I've seen every kind of fraud, every manipulation, every dirty trick people use to steal property and money and rights. I know exactly what Trevor and Barbara have done wrong, and I know how to prove it." Paula stared at her mother. "Really?" "Really. But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Can you go back there and wait? 2 weeks, maybe less. Can you hold on that long?" Her daughter nodded, tears streaming down her face. Okay, yes. "Good." Karen squeezed her hands once more, then let go. "I'll call you in a few days. Until then, keep your head down. Go to work. See Lily when they allow it. And don't let them know you're planning anything." After Paula left, Karen sat alone in the hospital cafe for a long time. Then she pulled out her phone and made 2 more calls. The first was to James Rodriguez, a private investigator she'd worked with on dozens of cases before retirement. "James," she said when he answered, "I need surveillance, starting tomorrow, and I need it to be thorough." The second call was to Barbara Ross's home number, a number she'd saved years ago and never thought she'd use for something like this. Barbara answered on the 3rd ring. "Hello? Barbara, it's Karen. Karen Ross, Paula's mother." "Oh, Karen, how lovely to hear from you. How are you?" "I'm well, thank you. I was calling because I haven't seen Paula and Lily in a while, and I was hoping to take them out for lunch this weekend. Would that be possible?" A pause, just a fraction of a second too long. "Of course. I'll tell Paula you called. She's so busy with work, you know, but I'm sure we can arrange something." "Wonderful. Thank you, Barbara." Karen hung up and stared at her phone. "We can arrange something. Not I'll have Paula call you. Not she'd love that. We can arrange something. Like Paula needed permission. Like she was a child instead of a 38-year-old woman." Karen opened her laptop and began making notes. She'd need documentation, evidence, proof that would hold up in court. She'd need to build a case that even Barbara Ross's former social worker expertise couldn't defend against. She had 2 weeks. She'd make them count. James Rodriguez started surveillance on Thursday morning at 6 a.m. By Thursday evening, he'd sent Karen his first report, along with video footage that made her stomach turn. The video showed Paula leaving Barbara's house through the side gate at 6:15 a.m., dressed in her Ralph's uniform, carrying a paper bag that presumably held her lunch. She walked 4 blocks to the bus stop. The bus arrived at 6:32. Paula got on. According to James's notes, she wouldn't arrive at St. Vincent Medical Center until 8 o'clock a.m., 90 minutes of commuting for a job that was only 12 miles from Barbara's house. The second video showed Paula returning at 7:45 p.m. She entered through the same side gate. This time, James had positioned himself where he could see into the garage. Karen watched her daughter sit down on an air mattress in the corner, the only furniture visible. A single space heater glowed orange in the corner. A plastic storage bin sat against the wall. No chair, no table, no mirror. Nothing that suggested a human being lived there instead of being temporarily stored. Paula ate something from a McDonald's bag, probably a $1 menu item given how small it was. She ate slowly, staring at the wall. At 8:15, the interior door to the garage opened. Trevor appeared with Lily. Karen leaned closer to her laptop screen, desperate to see her granddaughter. Lily looked healthy, clean clothes, hair brushed and put in pigtails. She was holding a stuffed elephant that Karen had given her for her 3rd birthday. 15 minutes, Trevor said. His voice came through tinny on the recording, but clear enough. Mom says 15 minutes, then she needs her bath. Paula knelt down and hugged her daughter. Hi, baby. How was your day? Good. Grandma let me help make cookies. Lily smiled, gap-toothed and beautiful. That's wonderful, sweetheart. They talked for exactly 14 minutes. Karen watched Paula try to pack a lifetime of mothering into those minutes, asking about Lily's day, fixing a loose ribbon in her hair, making her laugh with silly faces. Then Barbara appeared in the doorway. Time's up. Say goodnight to your mother, Lily. Can I stay a little longer? Lily asked. Please? No, darling, your mother needs her rest. She works very hard. Barbara's tone was syrupy sweet, but the look she gave Paula was ice cold. Come along. Bye, Mommy. Lily hugged Paula once more, then skipped back into the house. Trevor followed without a word. The door closed. Paula sat on the air mattress for another hour, staring at nothing. At 9:30, the overhead light went out. Karen watched this video 3 times. Then she opened the next file. This one was from Friday afternoon. James had gotten footage of Barbara going through the garage while Paula was at work. She'd moved the storage bin, opened it, rifled through Paula's clothes. Then she'd checked the pockets of a jacket hanging on a hook. She pulled out a $20 bill, probably one of the weekly allowances Barbara had given Paula. Barbara photographed it with her phone, then pocketed the money. The next video showed Barbara in what appeared to be Lily's room. She was showing Lily a photo album. See, this is you when you were a baby. Grandma was always there. Grandma helped Mommy take care of you. Where was Mommy? Lily's small voice asked. At work, sweetie. She was always at work. That's why you and I are so close. James had included a note with this footage. Subject appears to be implementing parental alienation techniques, documenting each instance. Karen closed her laptop and called Sarah. I need you to look at something, she said. Can you come over? Sarah arrived 40 minutes later. Karen showed her everything, the videos, James's notes, the timeline she'd been building. Jesus, Sarah said softly. This is worse than we thought. It gets worse. Karen pulled up the financial records Sarah had obtained earlier through legal channels. Paula had signed a limited power of attorney, or at least that's what the document was labeled. But buried in the dense legal language was a clause that gave Trevor authority over all financial accounts, investments, and property decisions. Sarah pointed at the signature line. Paula signed this? That's what it says. Karen, look at the date, February 14th, Valentine's Day. 6 months ago, almost to the day. Sarah opened another document, the quitclaim deed transferring Maple Street to Trevor's sole ownership. Same date, February 14th. He had her sign everything the same day, Sarah said. Probably told her it was romantic or something. Let's get our financial future in order together. Karen felt sick. Can we prove coercion? Maybe. The timing is suspicious. All these documents on the same day, all heavily in Trevor's favor. And look at this. Sarah pulled out a bank statement. Paula's last paycheck before the account change was deposited February 10th. After that, everything goes into an account solely in Trevor's name. He didn't even leave it joint. He removed her completely. Karen scanned the statement. Paula's salary was $4,200 per month. For 6 months, that was over $25,000. All of it going into an account Paula couldn't access. Where's the money going? Karen asked. Sarah flipped through more documents. Some to regular bills, utilities at Barbara's house, Trevor's car insurance, though he's driving Paula's car, so I don't know what vehicle he's insuring. And look at this. Regular transfers of $800 per month to an account I can't identify. Could be savings. Could be something else. Can we find out? Not without a subpoena. But Karen, Sarah looked up. I think we need to bring in a family law attorney. This is beyond real estate fraud now. This is a custody issue, financial abuse. We need someone who specializes in this. Karen nodded. Do you know anyone? The best. Rebecca Stone. She's tough, she's smart, and she doesn't lose. Sarah paused. She's also expensive. $4.50 an hour, minimum retainer of $10,000. I don't care what it costs. I'll call her tomorrow. After Sarah left, Karen sat alone in her living room with a glass of wine she wasn't drinking. She thought about calling Paula, but decided against it. Paula needed to stay focused on surviving the next few days. Knowing the full extent of what they'd found might break her. Instead, Karen opened her laptop one more time and searched for Barbara Ross's professional history. She found Barbara's LinkedIn profile. 23 years as a social worker for Los Angeles County. Specialized in child protective services. Retired 4 years ago. Barbara knew exactly how to work the system. She'd spent 2 decades learning how to evaluate mothers, how to document neglect, how to build cases for removing children from homes. And now she was using that knowledge against her own daughter-in-law. Karen clicked on Barbara's Facebook page. It was set to private, but the profile picture showed Barbara holding Lily, both of them smiling at the camera. The caption read, "My favorite granddaughter and me at the park. She's my whole world. Not one of my favorite days. Not love spending time with Lily. She's my whole world." Like Lily belonged to Barbara. Like Paula was just an inconvenient obstacle. Karen took a screenshot of the profile, saved it to her growing evidence folder, and finally took a sip of wine. Her phone buzzed. A text from James. "Need to show you something. Can you meet tomorrow?" "It's important." Karen replied 9 a.m. "My house." James arrived the next morning with his laptop and a grim expression. "You're not going to like this," he said, setting up at Karen's dining room table. He opened a video file. The timestamp showed it was from late last night, around 11 p.m. The footage showed the back of Barbara's house. The garage door was closed, but light spilled from the windows. Then the back door of the main house opened. Trevor stepped out, carrying a garbage bag. He walked to the bins at the side of the house and dumped it. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. James had audio. He'd placed a directional microphone pointed at the property. "Hey, baby," Trevor said into the phone. His voice was warm, affectionate. Nothing like the flat, cold tone he'd used with Paula. "Yeah, I know. I miss you too. Soon, okay? Mom's almost got everything in place." A pause. "Lindsay, I promise. By summer we'll be done with all this. The house will sell, we'll have the money, and we can start our life together. You and me and the baby." Karen's blood ran cold. "The baby?" she asked. James nodded grimly. "I followed up on this call, did some digging. Lindsay Martinez, 29 years old, works at the same gym where Trevor used to have a membership. She's 4 months pregnant." "Oh my God." "There's more." James pulled up a series of photographs. They showed Trevor entering the Maple Street house, the house that was supposedly rented out, with a young woman. Dark hair, athletic build, very pregnant. The photos were dated. They went back 3 weeks. "He's been taking her there," Karen said. "To Paula's house. They're living there. Lindsay Martinez moved in 2 weeks ago. No lease, no rent. Just Trevor's girlfriend living in the house he stole from his wife." James pulled up more footage. "And Karen, Barbara knows. Look." The final video showed Barbara's Mercedes pulling into the Maple Street driveway. She went into the house through the front door. She had a key. Stayed for 20 minutes. Came out with Trevor and Lindsay. The 3 of them talked on the front lawn. Barbara hugged Lindsay, hugged her. Then Barbara got in her car and left. Karen stared at the screen. "They're replacing her." "What?" "Trevor and Barbara. They're not just stealing Paula's money in her house. They're replacing her. Trevor with Lindsay. Barbara getting full control of Lily. This isn't about financial abuse. This is about erasing Paula entirely." James sat back. "We need to get this to a lawyer. Today." Karen was already reaching for her phone. "Sarah gave me Rebecca Stone's number. I'm calling right now." But even as she dialed, her mind was racing ahead. This wasn't just a case anymore. This was war. And Barbara Ross had just made a fatal mistake. She'd underestimated a mother's love. Karen had spent 33 years as a real estate attorney, had dealt with every kind of fraud and manipulation. She knew how to build cases, how to gather evidence, how to find weaknesses in seemingly airtight schemes. But more than that, she was a mother, and someone was hurting her child. Rebecca Stone answered on the second ring. "Ms. Stone," Karen said, her voice steady and cold. "My name is Karen Ross, and I need your help destroying some people who are abusing my daughter. How soon can we meet?" Rebecca Stone's office occupied the 23rd floor of a glass tower in Century City. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, and the reception area alone probably cost more than Paula made in a year. Karen sat in a leather chair, her purse clutched in her lap, trying not to calculate how much this was going to cost. Rebecca emerged from her office at exactly 2 p.m., a tall black woman in her mid-40s, wearing a charcoal suit that screamed competence and no-nonsense authority. She shook Karen's hand with a grip that could crush diamonds. Mrs. Ross, come in. Rebecca's office was sparse. A desk, 2 chairs, shelves lined with law books and case files. Nothing decorative, nothing soft. This was a room where battles were planned. Karen spread out everything on Rebecca's desk. The videos, the bank statements, the quitclaim deed, the photographs of Trevor and Lindsay at the Maple Street house, James Rodriguez's surveillance reports. Rebecca went through it all methodically, making notes on a yellow legal pad. She didn't speak for 20 minutes. When she finally looked up, her expression was grim. "This is textbook financial abuse and coercive control," she said. "But we have problems." "What kind of problems?" Rebecca tapped the power of attorney document. "Your daughter signed this. It's notarized. It gives Trevor broad authority over financial decisions. She didn't know what she was signing. That's what we'll argue. But proving it is difficult." Rebecca pulled out the quitclaim deed. This, too, signed and notarized on Valentine's Day, along with all the other documents. Suspicious timing, yes, but technically legal unless we can prove coercion. Can we? Maybe. The pattern of behavior suggests manipulation, consolidating everything on one day, removing her from accounts, isolating her in the garage. But here's the thing. Rebecca leaned forward. Barbara Ross was a social worker for 23 years. She knows exactly what she's doing. Every action has plausible deniability. Paula chose to live in the garage while they renovated a room for her. The financial consolidation was temporary during Trevor's job search. The limited access to Lily is because Paula works too much. Karen felt her stomach drop. So what do? We build a multi-layered case. We can't rely on just one angle. Rebecca started listing on her fingers. First, we need a forensic document examiner to analyze the signatures. Even if Paula signed them, we might prove duress. Pressure sensitivity in the pen strokes can indicate stress or intoxication. Trevor gave her wine that night. Paula mentioned it. Good. That helps. Rebecca made a note. Second, we need a forensic accountant to trace every dollar. Show the pattern of financial control. Third, we need a psychological evaluation of Paula. Document the harm this has caused. Fourth, we need to prove parental alienation with Lily. James has video of Barbara telling Lily that Paula doesn't care about her. Rebecca's eyes sharpened. That's gold. Parental alienation is taken very seriously by judges. She paused. But here's our biggest problem. If we file for custody and financial remedies, Barbara will immediately counterfile. She's been documenting Paula for months. The garage conditions, the long work hours, everything. She'll paint Paula as an unstable mother who abandoned her child. Paula didn't abandon anyone. She's being held prisoner. I know that. You know that. But on paper? Barbara looks like the concerned grandmother stepping in to help. Rebecca tapped her pen against the desk. We need something that breaks through Barbara's narrative. Something she can't explain away. Karen thought about the videos of Trevor and Lindsay. The affair. His pregnant girlfriend living in Paula's house. That's personal misconduct, but it doesn't necessarily impact custody. Unless, Rebecca tilted her head, unless we can prove this was all premeditated, that Trevor and Barbara planned to push Paula out from the beginning so he could move Lindsay in. How do we prove that? We need their communications, emails, text messages, anything showing intent. Rebecca looked at Karen. Can your investigator get access to Trevor's devices? I don't know. I can ask. Do it, because right now we have a good case. But good isn't enough. Barbara's going to fight dirty, and she knows the system better than most lawyers. Rebecca's voice softened slightly. How's your daughter holding up? Karen thought about Paula in that garage, counting coins, eating McDonald's alone, getting 15 minutes a day with her own child. Not well, Karen admitted. Then we need to move fast, but carefully. Rebecca pulled out a retainer agreement. My fee is $4.50 an hour. I'll need a $10,000 retainer to start. Given the complexity, we're looking at $30,000 to $50,000 total if this goes to trial. Karen didn't hesitate. I'll write you a check today. Good. I'll need Paula to come in for an interview. And Mrs. Ross? Rebecca met her eyes. You should prepare yourself. This is going to get ugly. Barbara won't go down without a fight. Neither will I. The call came 3 days later at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Karen was making coffee when her phone rang. Paula's number. Mom, her daughter's voice was shaking. They filed for custody. Emergency temporary custody. Barbara and Trevor. There's a hearing this Friday. Karen's coffee mug stopped halfway to her lips. What? A process server came to the hospital last night. Emergency petition. They're saying I abandoned Lily, that I'm mentally unstable, that I chose to live separately, and they've been providing primary care. Paula was crying now. Mom, they're taking her. They're really taking her. No, they're not. Listen to me. There's a hearing in 3 days. What if the judge believes them? What if... Paula, breathe. I'm calling Rebecca right now. We knew they might do this. We're prepared. But as Karen hung up and dialed Rebecca's number, her hands were shaking. Barbara had moved faster than expected. And an emergency custody hearing meant a judge would make a decision quickly, based on limited evidence. They could lose Lily before they even had a chance to present their case. Rebecca answered on the first ring. I heard. David Huang filed it yesterday afternoon. He's good, Karen, very good. Can we win? I don't know. Emergency hearings are unpredictable. We have 3 days to prepare. A pause. Karen, I need you to be honest with me. Is there anything about Paula that could hurt us? Any history of substance abuse, mental health issues, anything Barbara could use? Karen thought about her daughter. Hardworking, devoted mother, loyal to a fault. No, nothing. Good. Get Paula to my office this afternoon. We have work to do. Friday morning came too fast. Karen sat in the courtroom gallery, watching Paula at the defendant's table next to Rebecca. Her daughter wore the only professional dress she had left, a black sheath that hung loose on her thin frame. Her hands were folded in her lap, knuckles white. At the plaintiff's table sat Barbara and Trevor with their attorney, David Huang, a sharp-dressed man in his 50s with silver hair and the confident air of someone who'd never lost a case he cared about. Judge Patricia Mendez entered. She was in her 60s, with steel-gray hair pulled back in a bun and reading glasses perched on her nose. Karen had researched her. Mendez was known for being tough, but fair, with little patience for games. We're here on an emergency petition for temporary custody, Judge Mendez said. Mr. Huang, you may proceed. David Huang stood. Your Honor, my clients are seeking emergency temporary custody of 4-year-old Lily Ross due to the mother's voluntary abandonment and unstable living conditions. He presented his case efficiently. Photos of the garage where Paula lived, making it look squalid and chosen rather than forced. Documentation of Paula's work schedule, 60-plus hours per week. Character witnesses, 2 of Barbara's neighbors who testified that they'd seen Barbara caring for Lily for months, while Paula was never around. Medical records showing Barbara had taken Lily to all her doctor's appointments, enrolled her in preschool, was listed as emergency contact. My clients have been the de facto parents for 6 months, Huang argued. They provide stability, a safe home, and consistent care. Ms. Paula Ross, by contrast, has chosen to live separately from her child and works excessive hours that prevent proper parenting. Rebecca cross-examined the witnesses, poking holes where she could. But the damage was done. On paper, it looked damning. Then it was Rebecca's turn. Your Honor, what Mr. Huang has presented is a carefully constructed fiction. Rebecca stood, commanding the courtroom. The truth is that my client has been systematically isolated, financially abused, and separated from her daughter through coercion and manipulation. She presented the videos. Paula in the garage, the 15-minute visits, Barbara going through Paula's belongings, the bank records showing Trevor's control of all finances, the audio of Barbara telling Lily that her mother didn't care about her. This is parental alienation, Your Honor, financial abuse. My client isn't choosing these circumstances, she's trapped in them. Huang objected multiple times. Judge Mendez allowed most of the evidence but looked skeptical. Finally, Mendez called a recess. I'll make my decision in 2 hours. In the courthouse cafeteria, Paula sat with her head in her hands. I'm going to lose her, she whispered. Did you see the judge's face? She doesn't believe us. We don't know that, Rebecca said, but her voice lacked conviction. Karen excused herself to the restroom. Inside the stall, she finally let herself cry. This was her fault. She should have seen this coming. Should have moved faster. Should have... Her phone buzzed. A text from James Rodriguez. Call me. Urgent. Karen wiped her eyes and dialed. Karen, I got something, James said without preamble. I've been monitoring Trevor's email through Paula's shared account access, completely legal. He's been emailing with Barbara about the custody filing. And there's another email chain with someone named Lindsay, going back 10 months. Karen's heart stopped. 10 months? February of last year, before he quit his job, before they moved to Barbara's, before everything. James's voice was tight. Karen, this was planned, the whole thing. Trevor was already seeing Lindsay when he quit. There's an email where he tells his mother about the pregnancy. Send me everything. Her phone chimed. Email after email downloaded. Karen scrolled through them, her hands shaking. Trevor to Barbara, 10 months ago. Mom, I need your help. I met someone. Someone who actually supports me. Lindsay's pregnant. It's mine. But I can't leave Paula yet. We need to get the house situation handled first. Can you help me figure this out? Barbara's response. Don't worry, sweetheart. We'll take care of everything. Move in with me. I'll help you get control of the assets. Paula won't know what hit her. Trevor to Lindsay 8 months ago. Just keep her tired. Tired people don't fight back. By summer, the house will sell and we can start fresh. Barbara to Trevor, 6 months ago. Got Paula to sign everything today. She actually thanked me for helping organize your finances. This is almost too easy. Trevor to Lindsay, 2 weeks ago. Lily's calling Mom Mama now. Perfect. The more attached she gets to my mother, the easier the custody fight will be. Karen stood in the bathroom, reading evidence of a conspiracy so calculated, so cruel, that it took her breath away. This wasn't just financial abuse. This was premeditated destruction of a family, so Trevor could start over with his pregnant girlfriend. She burst out of the restroom and ran back to the cafeteria. Rebecca was still sitting with Paula. Look at this. Karen shoved her phone at Rebecca. James just sent it. 10 months of emails. They planned everything. Rebecca's eyes widened as she read. Oh my God, this is... Karen, this changes everything. Can we use it in the hearing? We can try. Mendez might allow it as newly discovered evidence. Rebecca was already typing on her phone. James needs to get here now with printouts and authenticate these emails. But when they reconvened, Judge Mendez delivered her ruling before Rebecca could motion for new evidence. I've reviewed everything presented, Mendez said, and I'm granting temporary custody to the petitioners pending a full hearing. Paula gasped. Karen felt the world tilt. However, Mendez continued, Ms. Paula Ross will have supervised visitation twice per week. Full hearing is scheduled in 4 weeks. At that time, both parties will present complete cases. She looked at Barbara and Trevor. And I want to be clear, temporary custody is exactly that. Temporary. This is not a final ruling. The gavel came down. Paula turned to Karen, her face white with shock. They won. They actually won. It's temporary, Rebecca said quickly. We have 4 weeks to... But Paula wasn't listening. She stood up, swaying slightly, and walked out of the courtroom. Karen followed her daughter outside. Paula made it to the courthouse steps before she stopped, gripping the railing. I can't do this anymore, Paula whispered. I can't. Yes, you can. We have the emails. We have proof they planned this. It doesn't matter. Paula's voice cracked. Don't you see? They have her. The judge gave them my daughter. And in 4 weeks, what? We hope the next judge believes us more than this one did? Paula. No, Mom. I'm done. Let them have her. Paula's face was empty, hollow. Maybe she's better off with them anyway. At least they have money. At least they can give her a real home. That's the abuse talking, is it? Paula looked at her mother with eyes full of despair. Or is it reality? Look at me. I live in a garage. I take the bus. I count coins to buy coffee. What kind of mother am I? The kind who was systematically destroyed by people who wanted to steal everything from you. Paula, listen to me. But Paula was already walking away, down the courthouse steps toward the bus stop. Karen started to follow, but Rebecca caught her arm. Let her go, Rebecca said quietly. She needs time to process this. She's falling apart. I know, but Karen, Rebecca's voice was gentle. We have 4 weeks to build the case of our lives, and your daughter needs to be strong enough to testify. If she's not ready, we'll lose the final hearing too. Karen watched Paula disappear into the crowd of downtown Los Angeles. For the first time since this began, she wondered if they were already too late. Paula didn't come home that night. Karen called 17 times. Each call went to voicemail. She drove to Barbara's house. Paula wasn't there. She called St. Vincent Medical Center. Paula had called in sick for her weekend shift. At 11 p.m., Karen got a call from an unknown number. Mrs. Ross, this is Dr. Nina Patel from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Your daughter listed you as her emergency contact. Karen's blood turned to ice. What happened? Paula's stable, but she took a bottle of sleeping pills tonight. A neighbor found her in her car at a park and called 911. We pumped her stomach. She's going to be okay physically, but I'm recommending a 72-hour psychiatric hold. Karen was already grabbing her keys. I'm on my way. She found Paula in a hospital bed, staring at the ceiling. An IV drip fed into her arm. She looked small, broken, like a child. Baby? Karen sat beside the bed and took her daughter's hand. Paula turned her head slowly. Her eyes were red, empty. I'm sorry, Mom. Don't apologize. Don't you dare apologize. I couldn't see a way out. They won. The judge believed them. And I thought, her voice broke. I thought maybe Lily would be better off without me, without having to watch me fail over and over again. Karen squeezed her hand so hard it must have hurt. Listen to me. You are not a failure. You are a survivor. You've been fighting a war against 2 people who spent months planning how to destroy you. And you're still here. That takes more strength than they will ever have. It doesn't feel like strength. I know, but it is. Karen wiped tears from her daughter's face. And Paula, we have something. James found emails. Trevor and Barbara have been planning this for 10 months, since before he even quit his job. We have proof. Paula's eyes flickered with something. Not quite hope, but not complete despair either. Proof of what? Everything. The affair, Lindsay's pregnancy, Barbara coaching Trevor on how to control you, all of it. Karen pulled out her phone and showed Paula the emails. Paula read them slowly. With each message, something shifted in her expression. The emptiness began to fill, not with hope, but with anger. He was planning this, she whispered. The whole time, while I was working 60 hours a week to support us, while I was trusting him, he was planning to replace me. Yes, Paula looked at her mother. I want to fight. I'm not letting them win. Good, because we have 4 weeks until the final hearing, and we're going to destroy them. Dr. Nina Patel kept Paula for 5 days, not 72 hours. Karen visited every day. Rebecca came twice to prepare Paula for what was coming. David Huang will use this, Rebecca warned. The suicide attempt. He'll paint you as mentally unstable. Let him, Paula said. Her voice was different now, harder, steadier. I'll tell the truth, that they drove me to it, that anyone in my situation would have broken. When Paula was released, she didn't go back to Barbara's garage. Karen had already cleared out her things, or what little there was. Paula moved into Karen's guest room. Just until the hearing, Paula said. Or longer, Karen replied, as long as you need. The next 3 weeks were a blur of preparation. Rebecca hired a forensic document examiner who confirmed that Paula's signatures showed signs of pressure inconsistency, consistent with signing under duress or intoxication. A forensic accountant traced every dollar Trevor had taken, $43,300 in total damages. Doctored, Patel provided a detailed psychological evaluation documenting complex PTSD, the effects of coercive control, and how the systematic abuse had led to Paula's suicide attempt. And James authenticated the emails, providing metadata that proved they were genuine and unaltered. Rebecca built the case methodically, like constructing a building brick by brick. "We're ready," she told Karen and Paula the night before the hearing. "But I need you to understand something, Paula. You're going to have to testify about everything. The garage, the isolation, the suicide attempt. Can you do that?" Paula nodded. "I can do it." The courtroom was packed for the full custody hearing. Judge Patricia Mendez presided again, her expression unreadable. David Huang opened with his case, painting the same picture as before, Paula as an absent, career-obsessed mother, Barbara as the devoted grandmother who stepped in when needed. But this time, Rebecca was ready. She called her witnesses methodically. The forensic accountant testified about the money trail. The document examiner explained the signature analysis. Dr. Patel described coercive control and its psychological impact. Then it was Paula's turn. She walked to the witness stand in a gray suit Karen had bought her. She looked thin but composed. Rebecca guided her through the timeline. Paula described meeting Trevor, falling in love, buying the house on Maple Street. Then the slow descent. Trevor quitting his job, Barbara's offer to help, the gradual isolation. "They made it sound reasonable," Paula said, her voice steady. "Every step seemed logical at the time. Move in temporarily, consolidate finances, sign papers to protect our assets. I trusted my husband. I trusted my mother-in-law." "Tell the court about the garage," Rebecca said gently. Paula described it. The air mattress, the space heater, the plastic bin for her clothes, eating McDonald's alone while her family ate dinner inside the house. "How often did you see your daughter?" Rebecca asked. 15 minutes a day. Sometimes less if Barbara decided I'd done something wrong." Paula's voice cracked. "Like when she found $40 I'd been saving. She said I was stealing from the family and kept Lily away from me for 3 days. David Huang objected repeatedly. Judge Mendez allowed most of it. Then came cross-examination. Huang was sharp, aggressive. He questioned why Paula didn't leave sooner, why she signed the papers, why she worked so many hours. "Didn't you have choices, Ms. Ross?" he asked. "No," Paula said firmly. "When someone controls all your money, your home, your access to your child, you don't have choices. You have survival." Huang pulled out the psychiatric hospital records. "Ms. Ross, 2 weeks ago you attempted suicide. Is that correct?" The courtroom went silent. "Yes," Paula said quietly. "And you want this court to grant you custody of a 4-year-old child when you've demonstrated such instability?" Rebecca objected. Judge Mendez overruled. Paula looked directly at the judge. "Your Honor, I attempted suicide because 2 people spent 10 months systematically destroying my life. They took my home, my money, my daughter, my dignity. They isolated me and made me believe I was worthless. The fact that I survived as long as I did shows strength, not weakness. And the fact that I'm here today fighting for my daughter shows that I haven't given up." Tears streamed down her face, but her voice never wavered. "I am not unstable. I am traumatized. There's a difference. And with help, with therapy, with my daughter back in my life, I will heal. But I will never stop fighting for her. Never." The courtroom was silent. Judge Mendez made a note on her pad. Rebecca's final move was the emails. She entered them into evidence, had James authenticate them on the stand, and read several aloud. Trevor's message. "Just keep her tired. Tired people don't fight back." Barbara's response. "Got Paula to sign everything today. This is almost too easy." Trevor to Lindsay. "Lily's calling Mom Mama now. Perfect." With each email, Barbara's face grew paler. Trevor stared at the table. David Huang tried to object, arguing the emails were obtained improperly. Rebecca countered that they were accessed through Paula's legitimate account access as Trevor's wife. Judge Mendez allowed them. "Mr. Ross," the judge said, looking at Trevor, These emails suggest a coordinated effort to remove your wife from her home and her daughter's life. Do you have an explanation? Trevor opened his mouth, closed it, looked at his lawyer. We were just trying to help, he finally said. Help? Judge Mendez's voice was cold. By having your pregnant girlfriend move into your wife's house while she slept in your mother's garage? The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Mendez banged her gavel. Order. She took 30 minutes to deliberate. When she returned, her expression was granite. I've reviewed all evidence presented. This is one of the most calculated cases of domestic abuse I have encountered. She looked at Barbara and Trevor. You didn't just commit financial fraud. You engaged in a conspiracy to psychologically destroy a woman and alienate her from her child. She read her ruling. Full custody to Paula Ross, effective immediately. Trevor Ross, supervised visitation once per month, pending completion of parenting classes and therapy. Barbara Ross, no visitation rights, no contact with the minor child. Financial restitution. Trevor must repay $43,300 plus attorney fees within 90 days. The Maple Street property is restored to joint ownership, with Paula having full occupancy rights. Criminal referral. This case is being referred to the district attorney for possible fraud and conspiracy charges. Mrs. Barbara Ross, Mendez continued, you nearly succeeded in destroying a family for your own purposes. Mr. Trevor Ross, you betrayed your wife in the cruelest way imaginable. You should both be ashamed. The gavel came down. Paula collapsed into Rebecca's arms, sobbing. Karen sat in the gallery, tears streaming down her face. They'd won. The police escort to Barbara's house happened immediately. 2 officers accompanied Paula, Karen, and Rebecca. Barbara answered the door, holding Lily's hand. Her face was red from crying. You can't take her, Barbara said. She needs me. I'm all she knows. Step aside, ma'am, one officer said. Lily looked confused, scared. She clung to Barbara's leg. Paula knelt down on the doorstep. Hi, baby. It's Mommy. Mommy? Lily's voice was small. Yeah, sweetheart. We're going home. Just you and me. Grandma says you don't want me anymore. Paula's eyes filled with tears. Grandma was wrong, Lily. I've always wanted you. Every single day. I was stuck. But I'm not stuck anymore. She held out her hand. Do you remember our house? The one with your purple princess room? Something flickered in Lily's eyes. The purple room? Yes, with the unicorn lamp and the bookshelf Gamma made. That's our home, Lily, and we're going back there, together. Lily hesitated. Then slowly she let go of Barbara's leg and took Paula's hand. Barbara collapsed against the doorframe, sobbing. Trevor stood behind her, silent and defeated. They drove to Maple Street. Lindsay Martinez's belongings were still scattered throughout the house. Karen called a locksmith while Paula and Lily explored. My toys! Lily squealed, finding her old toy box in the closet. Paula sat on the floor of the purple room, watching her daughter play, and finally let herself breathe. 3 months later, Paula stood in her kitchen making breakfast. Lily sat at the table coloring, chattering about preschool. The house was theirs again. Trevor had paid the first installment of restitution, $10,000, enough to cover legal fees. The rest would come slowly, but it would come. Paula had been promoted to nurse supervisor. She saw Dr. Patel twice a week. The nightmares were less frequent, the panic attacks manageable. Lily had her own therapist, working through the confusion and manipulation. Some days were hard. She still asked for Grandma Barbara sometimes, but those moments were becoming rarer. Karen came over for Sunday breakfast. She watched Paula flip pancakes, watched Lily laugh at something on her coloring page. How are you really? Karen asked quietly. Paula thought about it. Not okay yet, but getting there. That's enough. Trevor had moved out of state with Lindsay. The baby was born, a girl. He sent $200 a month in child support. Not enough, but something. Barbara faced 2 misdemeanor charges, Her court date was next month. Paula poured coffee for her mother. I wanted to thank you for everything. You don't have to. Yes, I do. You saved me, Mom, when I couldn't save myself. Karen squeezed her daughter's hand. You saved yourself, sweetheart. You stood up in that courtroom and told the truth. You fought. I just helped you remember how strong you already were. Lily ran over, holding up her drawing. Look, it's us. Me and Mommy and Gamma in our house. 3 stick figures holding hands in front of a lopsided house. Paula hung it on the refrigerator, right in the center. That afternoon, they sat in the backyard under the oak tree. Lily played with her dolls. Karen read a book. Paula just watched them both, soaking in the ordinary, beautiful normalcy of it. She wasn't okay yet. The trauma didn't disappear because they'd won in court. She still had nightmares. Still flinched when her phone rang. Still struggled to trust people. But she was here. She was free. She had her daughter. And some days, that was enough. Mommy? Lily looked up. Are we going to be okay? Paula pulled her daughter close. Yeah, baby. We're going to be okay. And for the first time in a year, she actually believed it.